Good morning, children. So, as you all remember, in the last class, we have discussed about renewable sources of energy, and renewable sources of energy is also called as non-conventional sources of energy. So, as I said, this week we'll be dealing with non-renewable sources of energy, which is also called as conventional sources. All right. So, first of all, let's define it. The sources of energy which have accumulated in nature over a very long period and cannot be quickly replaced when exhausted are called non-renewable or non-conventional sources of energy. Accumulated means to get stored up. So this energy is what stored up in nature at a very long period of time, and this cannot be quickly replaced, means you cannot regenerate it. So you cannot regenerate it, okay, when exhausted means when you have consumed it fully, or you have used up till it gets finished up. So you can write finish. Understand? So this kind of energy which is stored up in the nature over a very long period of time and cannot be regenerated, okay, when it is finished, is called non-renewable sources of energy or conventional sources of energy. Examples are coal, petroleum, and natural gases are known as fossil fuels are non-renewable sources. So they are formed by decomposition. See, you can underline from here, okay, you can mark from here. They are formed by, how they are formed? By decomposition. Decomposition means to what? Rot out, isn't it? Quino, okay, of the remains of the plants and animals buried under the earth millions of years ago. So that's why we said here, isn't it, cannot be replaced quickly. Here we said cannot be replaced quickly because it takes millions of years to form. So this kind of energy, okay, takes millions of years to form. Understand? So thus the formation of fossil fuels have occurred over millions of years due to certain very slow changes under special circumstances. So if they are being used extensively, their known reserves will soon get what? Deplete, and once exhausted, they cannot be regenerated soon. Understand? So that's why whenever we are using the fossil fuels, these fuels are also called as what? Fossil fuels: coal, petroleum, and natural gases. And once they finish, what happens? It takes a very long, millions of years to what? Form, isn't it? So that's why we cannot what? Use it in a very what I'm trying to say is, you should not use this kind of energy in a very extensive way. Understand? You should try to preserve it because it takes a very long time to regenerate. So the common non-renewable sources of energies are coal, petroleum, and natural gas. So what are they? Coal, okay, petroleum, okay, and natural gas. So 1, 2, and 3. Now we will learn them one by one. All right. So the first one we have is coal. So you'll find this on your book. Okay, all these topics are there in your book. So coal, please underline this. Coal is a non-renewable source made up of complex compounds of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So coal. So when we say coal, okay, in our language we call it as koila, isn't it? So what are the main three elements here present? It's carbon. You know the symbol of carbon is capital letter C, isn't it? Then we have hydrogen, capital letter H is the symbol, okay, and what? The other main component or element is oxygen, that is O2, H2 here, okay. Apart from this, okay, some free carbon and compounds of nitrogen, okay, compounds of nitrogen and sulfur is also present in coal, but the main constituent of coal is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, okay, and it's a complex compound. Clear? So now where it is found? It is found in deep mines under the surface of earth. In India, coal mines are found in Jharkhand, one of the state, West Bengal, okay, Odisha and Chhattisgarh. So these are the 4 states where you find what? Coal mines. Understand? Since coal is found in abundance in our country, it is the most sources of energy, common source of energy for us. So in India, which one is the common source of energy? It is coal. All right, so this was the first non-renewable source of energy. And I said you, non-renewable source of energy is also called as conventional sources of energy. All right, now the second one that we have, please underline on your book, is petroleum. Okay, now what is petroleum? Petroleum is a dark colored viscous liquid, ekdam lototo pare, okay, and which is called as crude oil. What do we call it? Crude oil. So it is a non-renewable sources of energy which is found under the earth's crust trapped in rocks. So where it is found? It is found again. Coal was also found in the deep in the earth in mines, isn't it? Similarly, petrol is also found deep inside the earth's crust and it is trapped between the rocks. So it is called petroleum because petroleum means rock oil. So the what is the meaning of petroleum? Since it is found between the rocks, so petroleum भनेको चाहिँ the meaning is rock oil, ढुङ्गाको तेल. Understand? So it is a common complex mixtures of many hydrocarbons, water, salt, earth particles and other compounds of carbon, oxygen, nitrogen and sulfur. So just like your coal, it is also made up of complex compounds or mixtures of hydrocarbon, that is hydrogen and carbon, okay, oxygen, along with several types of salts, okay, then you have nitrogen and sulfur. Okay, so it is lighter than water and does not mix with it. So petroleum is lighter than water and it does not mix with it, means it is immiscible in water. So petroleum is obtained by drilling oil wells in the earth's crust at its reservoirs. In India, we have reservoirs of petroleum which are found in Assam and Mumbai. All right, now Assam is one of the state, whereas Mumbai is one of the cities, or you can say Mumbai is the capital of a state called Maharashtra. Okay, now the crude petroleum extracted from wells is not suitable to be used as a fuel in its natural form, so it has to be purified. So the petroleum that we get from the earth, it's a mixture of different compounds, so it cannot be used directly. You cannot use petroleum directly, so that's why it has to be purified, it has to be refined, it has to be distilled. Okay, so to obtain different usable components. Okay, so the process of separating useful, please underline from here, components from crude petroleum is called refining, which is done by fractional distillation in big oil refineries set up for this purposes. So how do we do it? By fractional distillation. So fractional distillation, I guess you have studied in your chemistry because you have a chapter, okay, based on mixtures in chemistry where you have to study about this fractional distillation. All right, now the petroleum gas obtained as a byproduct from the fractional distillation of petroleum contains mainly the butane and a small amount of propane and ethane. Understand? And these gases burn radially, ekdam sajilosangale, can produce a lot of heat. Hence, petroleum gas can be used as a good fuel. So the butane, propane and ethane are the gases states at ordinary pressure, but they can be easily liquefied under pressure. So that is how we get LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. Okay, so liquefied petroleum gas, it has a mixture of butane, okay, one of the hydrocarbon, then propane, okay, and ethane. These are all what? Hydrocarbons. All right, okay, now which is used in domestic gas stoves as fuel for heating purposes. You know, isn't it? At your home, your mother cooks food in a gas stove and the cylinder which stores the gas, and that gas is known as LPG, and the full form of LPG is liquefied petroleum gas. Okay, so it is stored in the gas cylinders after mixing a strong smelling substance called ethyl metacarb. Okay, see, you know, when the gas leaks at your home, it has a very foul smell, isn't it? The formula of that gas which gives you the foul smell is C2H5SH, and the name of this gas is ethyl mercaptan. Understand? Purposely jani yo haleko huncha yo gas. Why? So that if there is some leakage, okay, then from the cylinder can easily be detected. So ganaउने बित्तिकै हामीले gas leak हुँदैछ भनेर के भइहाल्छ, थाहा भइहाल्छ, isn't it? So for that purpose, this ethyl mercaptan is purposely filled in the LPG cylinders, because you know the LPG, the mixture of butane, propane and ethane, is very highly combustible, highly inflammable. Okay, it catches fire at a very or you can say its ignition temperature is very low, so it can easily or radially catch fire. Understand? So that's why, to avoid any mishappenings, the cylinders, okay, LPG cylinders are filled with, along with the LPG, it's we have filled with ethyl mercaptan, so that C2H5SH smells, it gives you a foul smells, and you'll be easily able to detect the leakage if it is if any leakage is there in the cylinder. Okay, so in the beginning, that the non-renewable sources mainly are three: coal, petroleum and natural gas. So we have learned about coal, we learned about petroleum in this page. Okay, now we'll go to the next page. Here we'll be learning about the third non-renewable sources of energy, that is natural gas. Okay, natural gas. Now what is natural gas? Natural gas is also a non-renewable sources of energy, okay, which is found deep under the earth's crust. See, you can see here again that all these non-renewable sources of energy are extracted from the earth's crust, either alone or above the petroleum reservoirs. Okay, either is found alone, okay, or it is on the top, okay, or it forms the uppermost layer, or it lies above the petroleum reservoirs, because it is gas and petroleum is liquid, so gases are lighter than the liquid, isn't it? So that's why it rises up. So it is also obtained by digging wells into the earth. From some wells we can extract only the natural gas, while from the others both natural gas and petroleum is extracted. In India, there are a number of natural gas fields, such as Tripura, one of the state from northeast, Jaisalmer, it's a city in Rajasthan, off-sea areas of Mumbai, and in Krishna Godavari Delta. So the main components of natural gas is methane, and the formula of methane is CH4 up to 95%, along with small quantities of ethane and propane. It easily burns to produce heat. So natural gas is also used as a heating fuel. All right, so we have covered the three non-renewable sources of energy, that is natural gas, petroleum and coal. All right, okay, so now let's again recall about the renewable sources of energy that we have learned in our last class. So here is a table which gives you the idea, or you can compare, okay, between the renewable and non-renewable sources. Let's see. Number one, these are the sources from which energy can be obtained continuously over a long period of time. Means, you know, this the energy source under renewable sources are such that they can be renewed again and again. Means you can get energy for a very long period of time, whereas in non-renewable sources, okay, you cannot be continuously obtained over a long period of time. So you cannot obtain it for a very long period of time. Number two, they are non-conventional sources, whereas non-renewable sources are conventional sources. Conventional sources means you can directly use it to get energy. Understand? Whereas in non-conventional sources, you have to harness it, you have to convert it into usable form of energy. Understand? Whereas conventional sources madhe, that energy is in the usable form, whereas in non-conventional it is not in the usable form. For example, if you are talking about flowing water, now flowing water cannot be directly used to generate electricity, isn't it? Flowing water has to be fed into a generator, so you need a device to convert the energy of flowing water, that is kinetic energy, or you can call it mechanical energy, into electrical energy. So there is a need of what? A device. Whereas here, when we say coal, coal is one of the non-renewable sources of energy. You can directly burn the coal to get heat energy. All right. Number 3, these are the natural sources which will not get exhausted. Whereas number 3, these are the natural sources, but these are going to get exhausted with time. Exhaust maneko chai सक्नु खतम हुनु. Understand? Number 4, these sources can be regenerated, whereas non-renewable sources cannot be regenerated. Examples of renewable sources are sun, wind, flowing water, biomass, tides, okay, oceans, geothermal spots, nuclear fuel, all are examples of renewable sources, whereas coal, petroleum, and natural gas are the examples of non-renewable sources of energy. I hope you have understood this now, isn't it? All right, now let's go to the next page where it says judicious use of energy. It means you should be using the energy in a very judiciously. Means when you need energy, then only you must use it. Otherwise, if it's not necessary, you must not waste the energy. So it is not possible to harness energy, okay, sufficient for our requirement from the non-conventional sources. So we have to make use of the conventional sources also. So you know that non-conventional, okay, sources of energy cannot be what? Used all the time. So to make up that, we have to use conventional sources of energy. But you know, the conventional sources of energy, that is fossil fuels, are limited and non-renewable, isn't it? You know this, it's limited, and as well as it cannot be renewed or regenerated. So the constant use of them, okay, will create an energy crisis in the coming future. So therefore, the following measures must be taken for the judicious use of energy. Number 1, the fossil fuels such as coal, petroleum, etc. should be used only for limited purpose when no other alternative source of energy is available. So when there is no any other alternative source of energy, and that is only the time when you are using the fossil fuels. Understand? Waste of energy should be avoided. Number 2, cutting of trees must be banned and more energy should be planted. Efforts must be made to make use of energy in community, that is in groups. Okay, because what happens when you are using some appliances, some devices, or some machines in a group, what will happen? It will consume less fuel rather as compared to the time when you are using individually, isn't it? Number 5, the use of energy in urban areas is much more than in the rural areas. In the rural areas, the use of renewable sources of energy is easier than in the urban areas. So in rural areas, we can use gobar gas, that is biogas, wind energy, hydro energy for running lights and tube wells. Understand? Number 6, such techniques should be developed by which in near future we may make use of the renewable sources such as solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, bioenergy, ocean energy, etc. as much as possible to meet our requirements. Number 7, efforts must be made to obtain nuclear energy by the controlled nuclear fusion, okay, or deuterium nuclei present in the heavy water available in the sea. This will again become an endless source of energy. So in our daily life, both in the urban and rural area, we need energy mostly in the form of electricity. So we shall now study the methods producing the electricity from the renewable sources of energy. So this, okay, I'll be sending the other video, okay, because you know, most of the time we rely on electricity at our home, isn't it? Most of the devices that we have at our home works on electricity, isn't it? Right now you are able to watch this video because the battery that you have in your device is getting charged with electricity that is coming to your house from the electrical department, isn't it? Yes. The television, the mixer grinder, the microwave, oven, washing machine, your refrigerator, your heaters, your geysers, isn't it? There are so many other devices which works on electricity. So basically what I'm trying to say is that in our today's daily life, we are so much leaned towards electricity that without electricity, life sometimes becomes impossible to live, isn't it? So that's why electricity becomes one of the very very important form of energy which the human being what consumes in his life. So that's why the production of electricity from different sources of energy has to be learned properly. Okay, so electrical or energy can be generated from solar energy, it can be generated from wind energy, okay, it can be generated from water, that is hydro energy, it can be obtained from nuclear energy, understand? So that is why you must learn the what generation of electricity from other sources of energy, for which I will be forwarding some videos to you all right. So from my point from till here, I'm stopping here, okay, and after this I'll be giving you some more videos based on the generation of electricity. All right, so that's it. Thank you.